I have no idea what color this is. I like these colors, man. So this is a Sky Paragliders Zorro. First time I'm checking the wing out. What do we have here? It's a 4-liner. A's, B's, Stabilo line, C's. It's got a separate tip steering toggle with a magnet. That's pretty strong. 2D steering's not hooked up. That's fine. The last wing I tested didn't have 2D steering either. I didn't mind it. Trimmers. I was reading the manual for this wing and it said that the red stitching line is neutral, but I'm assuming they mean this black line here, so that's neutral. It's about 1 inch out. That's typical. Looks like, I don't know, 4 or 5 inch trim range. Speed bar range is pretty long for an intermediate wing. Nice pulleys. Lines are sheathed. So these cells are pretty big. That's good. It's probably going to inflate super easy. And it's got a little plastic rod right there in the leading edge. The material is nice and thick and it feels very durable. Unsheathed lines in the top upper cascade. That's nice. Good for efficiency, but you got sheath lines down low. Here's the tag. Let's check it out. Zorro 22 meter. Looks good. Conditions right now, it's about 4 o'clock. It's pretty thermic and gusty, but we'll check it out, see how it handles.
Come here, bud.
Anthony's Airfield with Clint Chamales. He's on the F1, I'm on the Zorro. We're gonna hit the river. 22 meter Zorro. Take off. There he goes. And he's up. Oh, his wing is fast. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo! Yeah, buddy. Look at that climb out. cold down here because the river. Proximity. So today, this morning, this wing doesn't feel that inefficient as it felt to me the first time I flew it. But the first time I flew in some pretty rough winds and weather and thermals and stuff, so it was really hard to judge the glide because I was always either in lift or sink. Today, it's smooth, so I can judge how much throttle it actually takes to maintain straight and level. And it's not bad. Oh, I love this though. Yeah, trim's neutral right now. It doesn't take much throttle to maintain altitude. I thought it was worse initially than it was. The climb rate is still not as good on this wing as you know, a high aspect ratio, super efficient comp wing. But this isn't bad. I think it's on par for its class of a intermediate reflex wing. Oh yeah, it's some slalom behind Clint. In his wake, on the bar. We don't care. Yeah, inches off the ground. So for me to keep up with Clint's airspeed, I gotta be on about half bar, and that makes our trim speed about the same. He's on a 22 meter APCO F1. I'm on a 22 meter Zorro, Sky Zorro. His trims are neutral, mine are neutral. My trim speed is just a little bit slower than his. Obviously that's expected because Clint has about, I don't know, 30 to 40 pounds extra weight than I do, and he's on a hotter wing than I am. But you know, my takeoffs and landings are going to be a lot slower and easier than his are on that wing. Yeah, let's do a speed test real quick. So trim speed 39, trim's neutral, 39, 38, 37, trim's out full bar, 46, 47, 50, 49, 48, 49. Alright, into the wind. 31, 32, 33, 34, 32, 30, 31, 32, 34, 33. So it's about 40 miles an hour top speed. Pretty good. You saw my my last wing review. The hot wings tend to be about 45. The comp wings are like 50, and then the intermediate are about 40. I would say the advantage of this wing, the amount of reflex it has, is a ton. It's got more reflex at full speed than like the competition wings does. It makes it a little bit less efficient. Takes a little bit more throttle to maintain altitude at the faster speeds, but it does it just fine. Oh man, Clint just, oh no! Clint just landed on the track. I wonder if his motor quit. I just talked to Clint on the Cena. His motor died. There's looks like a worker or a guard talking to him now. He said he's gonna try and take off again.
So, Zorro, this wing would be a good fit. I think it would be a good second reflex wing. Probably if you started on a Mojo, this probably wouldn't be a good second wing for you unless you're more of a talented pilot, kind of ahead of your peers. If you started on something like a Universal or a Roadster, I think this would be a good second wing. And I recommend flying it higher in the weight range, because it's so rock solid and stable that it needs to be flown higher in the weight range to maintain that agility. So I've flown a Paramania GTX 22 meter, and I had a 22 meter ITV Billy, and this wing is very much that same class of wing. I would say those three wings are all very close in performance. The design in all three is very similar. Squared off tips, lots of reflex in the profile, very large cell openings. So when flying over terrain like this, you always have to have an out picked out. You don't just fly over here willy-nilly. So you see that dirt spot down there where the cars are? That's my out. And I know from here I can glide down to that lot. I can make it from up here. I always have that in the back of my mind. So as I come up here and I circle around, boom, that's where I'm gonna go if my engine quits. I already know that. If you do flying in terrain like this, always have that out picked out. Sky says this is an all-terrain wing. Well, here it is. All kinds of terrain. So let's say my motor quit right now. Boom, I'm over this mountainous area. I already have my spot picked out and I know it's over here. If you're going into the wind and you need to make a glide to a LZ like that, you want to fly with a little bit of extra speed. So probably trims neutral, hands up. Strongest winds, you want to be on speed bar a little bit. And then if you're going downwind, it's better to have your trims all the way in and maybe even a little bit of brake pressure to get that minimum sink when you're going downwind. But I'm going into the wind slightly, so I'm flying with a little bit of extra speed. And I arrived to my flat LZ with a car parking lot. So now I'm looking for power lines. Okay, I got lines on the border on the south side of the parking lot, no big deal. I got mountains over there, so I can expect some rotor. I have to land crosswind, so I would just go downwind like this. Waiting. Okay, I can start my turn now. And then, boom, I would have the LZ made. I would just make a landing there and wait for my ride to pick me up. Here's something else. If I could only have one wing, if one wing at all, to paramotor, paraglide, everything, it would be this class of wing as a Zorro. And the reason why is it's slow enough that on the nil wind, hard launch, tight LZ days, it can do it. It's fast enough that when you go with a group of friends that are all on fast wings, you can still keep up. It's agile enough that it can do wing overs. Maybe not barrel rolls. It's much harder to do a barrel roll safely on this wing because you have to build up so much energy to get it to do it, or be so heavy loaded on it. But you can still do wing overs. You can do, the handling is still sharp. It really is, this class of wing is a do everything. I even took my 22 meter Billy ridge soaring, so I know that this class of wing can do it. Yeah, I was about 100 feet lower than the free flight paraglider guys that were soaring with me, but I was still soaring the ridge. So if I only had one wing that I could have, it would be this class of wing. Me personally, I love the sport, I love this hobby. I'm fortunate enough to be able to afford more than one wing. So I prefer to have a universal and a warp, opposite ends of the spectrum. And then, you know, if I want to do something in between, it depends on the day. You know, if I'm not going to go fast and I'm flying midday, I take the universal. If it's evening or morning time and it's calm, I take the warp. If I could only have one wing, it would be something like a Zorro, ITV Billy, Paramania GTX. One of those classic wing, Macpara, Colorado. I haven't flown one of those, and judging by pictures, videos, reviews that I've seen, and specs on that wing, it doesn't have as much reflex. I think they lean more towards the efficiency side, but I don't know. I haven't tested that wing. I'd love to one day because people say great things about it. So if you have a Macpara, Colorado in a smaller size and you want to hear my thoughts on it, feel free to send me a message and send it to me. I think my next 2 reviews are going to be the long-awaited Pajon 3 and Dudek Drift Air. So stay tuned for those, and I can't wait. I'm super excited. I got the 22 meter Sky Zorro, and man, is that wing so far above me. The lines are so long. It's cool though. But this wing is like a freaking Cadillac, man, compared to what I'm used to. Like, this wing swings just a little bit, but it's not like a 45-degree turn swing. It's just a little swing in the thermals, but it just dampens everything. It's super nice, very comforting. So first impressions, the brake pressure required to turn is much higher than what I'm used to. Let's see how this pulls some G's. All right, not bad. Yeah, brake pressure is really high. That keeps you from pulling more than you should, really, I think. So if we can do a touch and go. See how, hang on. All right, so on that touch and go, I noticed this wing reminds me of like the Hadron XX. And my Billy that I had, it's not on the same level as a Hadron XX. It's more like my Billy. But what's cool about this kind of wing is, like, taking off, you're deep in the brakes, and once you're in the air, you just slowly let the brakes up, and the wing just flies right above the ground, and it's accelerating. It's going faster and faster and faster and faster until it hits its trim speed, and then it starts to climb. So it takes off like an airplane, and it looks really cool and it feels really cool. I'll do it again. All right, little flare. Oh, got some wind lifting me up. Off the ground, accelerating, accelerating, accelerating. Boom, I'm flying. It's really cool. I'm in a thermal now. I'm really low though, so it's gonna be narrow and not as strong. This wing, it's not a super efficient wing, but it's very comforting. So, you know, everything's a trade-off. This wing has a lot of reflex that I can tell, from kiting and flying it so far. It feels super solid. I mean, you can just feel it in the brakes how much brake pressure it has. So this wing has tip steering. It has its own little separate toggle right here. And the pressure is really high on it. Still, it's just like the brake toggles. You can just feel how solid this wing is. So much pressure to make this thing turn. But it's very effective. You don't have to pull the brake very far, but you have to pull it with a good amount of pressure. Yeah, it's higher pressure, but once you tension the line, you only have to pull it another 2 inches and you get a nice solid turn out of the wing. Tip steering or brake toggles, doesn't matter. Both are very effective. Just a little bit higher pressure than what I'm used to. All right, let's do the big ears test. This one's really high. Okay, come on, you can do it. A little more. It gives me a left turn like a reflex wing typically does. It wants to pop out, but it does it. So I want to try a little asymmetric collapse of this wing. I got the trims all the way in, and I'm just gonna, oh my word, that tension is so high. Hang on, this thermal's sucking me in, making me turn. Dude, there's so much pressure on these A-lines. Like way more than I'm used to. Oh dude, it doesn't want to collapse. If you have this wing, or if you fly this wing, just pull on those A-lines nice and slow and feel how much tension is on those lines. That is crazy. That is nothing like a free flight wing. I mean, you can see, look at these D lines. Look how slack they are. The C is not much tension. The B's have more, but these A's are under so much tension. That's a reflex wing, but that's what makes this wing so comfortable to fly in rough air. It really is. I'm still super impressed with how comforting it is in the bumps and stuff. The recovery arc for this wing is it dives and dives and dives and dives, and then it starts to recover. Let me show you this recovery arc. Into the wind, full throttle, off throttle. Yeah, it just, where you think the wing would recover from the arc, it dives about another 10 feet or so, and then it starts to recover. Alright, we're gonna try and ridge soar this thing. I think I got at least a 10-mile-an-hour wind. I know on my universal I'd be able to soar this right now, so that's kind of my reference to see if this thing can stay up. Trims are all the way in, and I'm gonna have a little bit of brake pressure on. Honestly, I don't expect it to stay up, but that's because it's a 22 meter and I'm like 103 kilograms right now at a density altitude of like 6,000 feet. So there's our little launch site and our windsock ripping down there. Oh look, I'm staying up. It's staying up. I mean, I guess it can do it. You need some wind though. I don't think I'll stay up after I make this turn. No, I'm already losing it. Yeah, I mean, it's a paramotor reflex wing for sure. Let's help the wing out, cut it some slack. Okay, look, right here, this is the strongest lift where where these rocks are. It's a more of a cliff. You can soar right there. It's a dedicated paramotor wing for sure, but man, is it so solid in turbulence. We'll do wing overs. see how ground hungry this bad boy is. Whoa. Oh yeah. Oh. Ground hungry, dude. Woo! Just dives and dives and dives. I think this is my buddy, Andrew. Andrew asked me to ride dirt bikes with him today, but I told him weather's too good to fly. So instead I came to fly paramotors. Oh, why did the wind have to pick up so much, man? Alright, this is a perfect example of why I like a wing with a little bit of extra reflex that gives me confidence on bar. Because here I am, you know, 5 miles from home, downwind, and I have to penetrate the wind to get home before the sun sets. Because, of course, I could always land out here and get a ride. That's a freaking pain in the butt. Nobody wants to do that. And I don't have to if I have a wing that's super solid on bar. I'm going 10 miles an hour into the wind. Trims in. So my technique personally to do this, if I climb higher, the wind is probably just even faster, right? I want to be high enough off the ground that if I do take a collapse, I have altitude to recover. And then I like the trims in, and then to use the speed bar, so that if I do take a collapse, I release the bar, recover the wing, and then continue flying. That's been my technique to penetrate a headwind to get home for a couple of years now. Trims in, on bar, enough altitude to recover from a collapse if it happens. Has it ever happened to me? No, it hasn't. I've never taken a collapse while on bar on a reflex wing. But you never know. So, what is this wing good for? What would I use it for? I would use this wing if you like to fly low and mash the speed bar. You like to mash the speed bar and dump the trims, but you don't want the risk of a hotter wing, but you want the confidence on the bar that a really strong reflex profile gives you. This wing is great for that. What this wing is not great for is flying where fuel efficiency matters. So I wouldn't choose this wing to go do an Icarus race. If you're planning a flight and you want the least amount of fuel stops possible, this wing is not the best choice for that. Or if you like to climb 5,000 feet, above the ground when you fly, and then do acro, and you don't really ever mash the speed bar, then I would look at a wing that has a little bit more efficient of a profile and maybe not as much reflex. Because if you're not going to use the traits that this wing offers for you, get a wing that suits your style better. Just got back from the first flight on the Zorro. Initial impressions, it's one of the most solid wings in turbulence that I've flown. One of the most, if not the most solid wing in turbulence that I've flown. However, the place that it lacks in is efficiency. I flew for about an hour and I burned between 6 and 7 liters. And I had the trims all the way in most of the flight. So it's not very efficient, but it's super solid in turbulence. Very, very confidence inspiring. It's quick. As soon as there's less turbulence one day.
because today was pretty rowdy. I like it. And what Sky Paragliders described this wing as an all-terrain wing, and I think it fits it pretty well. You can use it for all kind of paramotor flying. You can learn to thermal with this. Super solid, very confidence inspiring. And the more confident you are, the more fun you'll have while you're flying.